Hello everyone, this is Laura from Astropositive. Yesterday, the 21st of September 2025 at 1954 Universal Time, the world experienced a new moon that was also an eclipse. Eclipses are a bit like exclamation marks in our lives. They occur in pairs, one solar, one lunar, at a 2 weeks distance, twice a year. They are worth talking about, because they basically underline whatever movement the planets are doing in the background. Ironically, for an eclipse, they function as a spotlight focused on the specific part of the horoscopes they fall in. Of course, not every eclipse brings about earth-shaking events, but they are like snapshots in time, when we see enhanced manifestation of whatever astrological factors are at play at the time. This eclipse is outstanding in so many ways, and in the next few minutes, I will try to break it down for you in 10 easy steps to make you understand how it might shake up your life and when you least expect it, and especially so with respect to our relationships and love lives. So here we go. First, it is the second eclipse in Virgo. Virgo this season got two eclipses happening, one at 0 degrees on the 7th of September. It was a lunar eclipse. And right now, the eclipse that happened yesterday at 29 degrees, putting the finishing touches on the projects we have going on in our lives. Getting things just right, tying up loose ends, and putting our affairs in order are all the keywords for the season, especially so in matters of health, work, routine, the things that are supporting us and make us function. Virgo is the perfectionist of the zodiac, so it's only right that it should get an extra chance to do things right. This eclipse occurs also at a so-called anaretic degree. It's a critical degree. The 29 is the last degree of the sign. And these anaretic degrees are reputed to have karmic effects. It gave us a second chance to review our homework, and now is closing a chapter with no turning back. This particular eclipse belongs to the Saros series SS9 New South. According to Bernadette Brady, this series of eclipses tend to bring to the surface long-term worries about loved ones or health and communication issues. Actually, a worrying piece of news has a sense of destiny about it. I'll just leave this here as a quote. It is a south node eclipse. If the 7th of September lunar eclipse occurred close to the north node and thus was supposed to bring crisis with respect with a fresh new chapter in our lives, this is a south node eclipse, therefore it is about releasing the outdated, the no longer necessary, in order to make space for the new to come in. Virgo loves the cleaning up, so this should sit well with the overall atmosphere of the season. The new moon sits close together with Mercury, ruler of Virgo, stressing the importance of communication and clear-headed analysis of the situation. With this eclipse, we are all advised to refrain from acting on impulse, to keep our act together if we are to pass Virgo's test, and Virgo, as we all know, is not easily pleased. Interestingly, Mercury is in mutual reception with Venus. Mercury is in Libra, Venus is in Virgo, so communication should go smoothly and constructively about relationship and what is there to be fixed with this respect. This eclipse, again, is tightly opposing the current Saturn-Neptune conjunction. It's been a while since two heavyweights are rubbing shoulders at the finish line, or should I say the starting blocks, because they're hovering together nearby the Aries point, which is 0 degree Aries. Right now, Saturn is retrograding back into Pisces. Neptune is also retrograding, but is still in Aries at 0 degrees, in slow motion. A Saturn-Neptune conjunction is a rare event. It happens every 32 to 35 years or so. As it brings together two planets that are not known for their sense of humor and for being lots of fun, their transit together can feel somewhat bleak. It is a fact that a Saturn-Neptune conjunction can be a depressing influence and can leave us disillusioned, tired and weary. It's also a combination that speaks of burdens and responsibilities. It speaks of fears. On the other hand, this bitterness can sometimes spur us into action. Let's not forget that the last Saturn-Neptune conjunction occurred in 1989, and it witnessed actually the fall of the Berlin Wall. And this time, this conjunction takes place, as I said, around the Aries point, where the zodiac cycle starts. We can safely say that this will see us into a new era, where many of the structures that we now take for granted will collapse. This eclipse, shining a light on our discontent, signified by the Saturn-Neptune conjunction, might work as the trigger and the catalyst for major changes on the world scene and in our own lives. After all, the new moon stands in opposition to Saturn-Neptune. The pull is there to liberate ourselves from the fears and the restrictions and put down the burdens and start the new chapter that we have been longing for. Let's add now two other slow-moving planets in the mix, Uranus and Pluto, on each side of the opposition axis, forming together with a new moon a beautiful grand trine. This harmonious structure looks like it's balancing the tension of the opposition, creating a path of easy flow of energy that should facilitate the release of the pent-up energies of the retrograde Saturn and Neptune. Actually, the entire structure forms a so-called kite. It looks like a kite ready to fly out into the sky. This overall harmonious configuration is under enough tension with the opposition axis to be an effective agent of change. Uranus and Pluto, both in air signs, provide the inspiration, the idea, the spark that will ignite Neptune-Saturn fire in Aries. Harmonious as this figure may be, keep in mind that this puts Saturn-Neptune at the midpoint of Uranus and Pluto, a revolutionary combo, if there ever was one. Fun fact, last time Pluto was in Aquarius, we had the French Revolution. Now, let's not forget two personal planets, Venus and Mars. When added in, they create a new geometry, each in a tight square aspect with an outer planet, Venus in Virgo, square Uranus, and Mars, still in Libra, square Pluto. Venus square Uranus speaks of sudden relationship changes, whether breakups or new starts. Venus represents what we value, what we appreciate, and it just entered Virgo, where it looks at things with a critical eye. Looks like values as well as relationships, ties are about to shift. Mars square Pluto, on the other hand, is raw instincts, raw passion, ready to fight for a cause, to go after one's heart desires. Right now, Mars is in polite Libra, well-behaved, negotiating compromises, but it will soon pass into Scorpio, where it will flex his muscles, coming into his own domicile. A heady mix, to be sure. And this is no wishy-washy daydreaming what-if situation. One knows what one wants, and one goes after it. If Saturn-Neptune combination is the fear that's stopping us from acting, Mars in Scorpio, square Pluto, can be ruthless, and things can get nasty. We should feel the fear and do it anyway, otherwise we can get crushed by people and circumstances. If we look closely, Venus and Mars are equally distant from the degree of the new moon, meaning this new moon takes place at the Venus-Mars midpoint, a splendid metaphor for a love-life makeover. And now take a look at the whole picture. It looks a little bit like a little box. Actually, this figure is called a Pandora's box. Once opened, who knows what will fly out of the box? Mixed blessings, to be sure. Jupiter seems to be the only planet left out. In Cancer, it's in his domicile, but it's a bit lonely there, less connected to the whole structure, but still forming a trine to the nodes. In Cancer, Jupiter feels at home and is able to act as a guardian angel, providing for some domestic amenities and comfort for everybody, expansive and over-the-top feelings and emotions. A truly outstanding feature about this eclipse is the fact that almost all planets, except perhaps Mercury and Jupiter, prepare to cross over or just crossed over into another sign. It feels like a major reset when we get to experience new beginnings in many different aspects of life. While some planets are retrograding back into the previous sign, it's the case for all heavy planets, slow-moving, like Uranus, Neptune, Saturn, and Pluto. Some others, the inner personal planets, are blazing their trail in direct movement into new territory. A major shift is underway, and we better prepare to be flexible and adapt to the new reality being born. This is particularly true with respect to relationships because this new moon occurred at the very end of Virgo and is heading into Libra, where we have to deal with our fellow human beings and significant others, ideally in a balanced, fair, and honorable way. Let's take a good look at this picture. Watch closely the green lines representing quincunxes. One can spot 3 green triangles, sharper than the grand blue trine that I was speaking about before. These are yods, the so-called finger of God. There are 3 of them, with Mars, Venus, and Saturn, Neptune at the apex, respectively. Each quincunx is an uncomfortable aspect that implies hesitation, procrastination, and requires adjustment of 2 otherwise incompatible energies. Now think when 2 quincunxes simultaneously pull at the poor planet at the apex. The yod singles out this planet that feels supercharged with energy, balancing between the 2 poles at its base. Yods have a reputation of triggering karmic, fated events, so watch out for drama unfolding in your life. Venus and Mars are either at the apex of a yod or the feet of a yod, channeling the Saturn-Neptune at the Aries point, ready to either burst or bubble, or hopefully to make up for long-standing frustration and unfulfilled desires. Finally, once we add in the asteroids and astrological points like Chiron, Vesta, Juno, Ceres, and the Black Moon Lilith, this pattern gets a bit blurry, but one more aspect stands out. It's the opposition between this Juno-Vesta wide conjunction on one side and Uranus on the other. Juno, who is Jupiter's wife, represents partnership and commitment. Vesta represents that which we hold sacred and we are devoted to. Unpredictable Uranus is the one who is known to deliver the needed shocks to the system. This opposition promises a rehaul in the sphere of our close, intimate relationships, severing old bonds and forging new ones. An added bonus for my specific location, where I live in Switzerland, is the fact that the 2 heavy outer planets that are the champions of major change, Uranus and Pluto, are both on an angle, Uranus at the ascendant and Pluto at the midheaven. Okay, not predicting any gloom and doom, but we are certainly living in interesting times. How exactly this will play out is more a question of our individual horoscope. Nevertheless, the stage is set for high-intensity major events over the next 6 months, until the next eclipse season. One day to watch out for is the 13th of October 2025, when Venus will pass over the degree of the eclipse at 29 degrees of Virgo and will reactivate current relationship issues, in the terms of what I just described. As usual, charts with planets and cusps that are close to the degree of the eclipse, so the 29 degree of Virgo, will be particularly responsive. Make a quick check just in case. And I will see you at the next full moon on the October 7th. Goodbye.